jump right into this one because we are ready for the second game here of the finals, the playoffs here at DreamHack Open 2014 at DreamHack Winter. Let's jump right into it. As down here to the bottom right-hand side, playing for Team Liquid is the red Terran. It's TaeJa.
One of the tournament favorites from the very beginning. And the winner, of course, going up to face off against Life, his opponent. The Terran that's been playing in Europe this past year from Team My Insanity. Give it up for jjakji.
And I was sitting backstage and I found a very interesting stat here, Nathaniel. It says jjakji has only lost one series in Terran versus Terran since the start of July, or the end of June, however you want to look at it. One series only in multiple months of Terran versus Terran games. That one series was when he lost in the finals versus MMA at DreamHack Moscow. But that's a pretty heavy thing to have coming into this, and especially because he's performed so well with this tournament in Terran versus Terran already.
Yeah, jjakji is one of the guys. When you play in Europe, you're going to play against people like 4GG on the ladder all the time. You've got great practice. You're playing against MMA pretty consistently. And these are the types of players, well, not only did they make it quite far in this tournament, to say the least, but they're the kind of guys that will give you the practice you need to deal with pretty much anybody you're going to face worldwide. And
I really think that jjakji, well, my personal favorite here, that jjakji hopefully is going to be carrying some of that My Insanity magic into this kind of game, because we've seen it before with Saxry, we've seen it before that as well with Stardust. Does he have some of that star power that he can bring to knock out Liquid TaeJa? Because TaeJa, as everyone's expecting, to move forward, to challenge the likes of Life, to challenge the likes of 4GG. But we've already seen two decisive strategies to open up this first game.
That's right. Both players opening up gas first. It's standard, it works, it's good. Now, the second gas is going to be taken by both players. There's a pretty big chance that we'll see either Raven or Banshee openings out of both of them. And this, of course, lets the action kick off pretty quickly. It comes down to, if you're going Banshee, what's your follow-up to defend your opponent's Banshee, and vice versa. If you're going Raven, how are you going to defend and then make a counterattack later on? Who's going to expand first? There's a lot of questions that remain to be answered, but the Starports, the Tech Labs, they tell a story that we will see some kind of Banshee or Raven play.
That's right. We have a Hellion coming out here for Liquid TaeJa, as he's just about to finish up with this Starport and Tech Lab on that barracks, as you've said. And who is going to get the head start in this series, because we are going to see aggression from both sides here. We are going to see both of them go at each other. Who gets damage done, because they will continue, if they do get that damage done, into the mid-game with a clear advantage. And now as you see the barracks, the factory, the Starport all switching around. Cloak Banshee for TaeJa, Raven for jjakji.
When I think about these two players and watching some of the games that they played this year, I do think of TaeJa as less likely to go for the crazy aggression. And jjakji this game, I think he's telling himself he really doesn't want to lose this game to any one of those fast attacks. jjakji wants this game to go long. He feels comfortable. As you said, his TVT has been superb. And anybody who watches online tournaments knows that, because he plays and wins pretty much all of them, if not making top 4. So this build will allow him to safely defend most attacks that you could be hit with, and that will allow him to try to get an attack later on once he deflects the Banshee.
And an important fact for us to know is that neither of these players really know exactly what they're doing. They know they're on one base, they know they've taken a single gas, but don't know exactly what unit composition they're going for here. So the Banshee and Cloak for TaeJa that's on its way to the other side of the map is going to walk into a wall here. jjakji with the Raven, obviously giving detection for the Marines underneath. And if he shuts this down very easily, it's going to be a great start.
So what's most interesting to me, as this Banshee crosses the map, the SCV for jjakji pokes this depot wall, but we can see that TaeJa has taken a command center. He wants to expand after this little push. jjakji's already halfway done with his first siege tank. He's getting Vikings out with the Raven. He could be planning to go for a very swift counterattack to the natural and possibly try to contain TaeJa on one base. But the Banshee shows up, Marines are poised, the Viking is there, the opening has done what it was designed to do.
Yeah, pushes the Banshee back. I guess you can look on the flip side and the positive side here for TaeJa. He saw no command center and he saw the Tech Lab on the factory, so he knows that tanks are being made, and he knows that he's going to have to start to get ready to defend this incoming push that we are going to see coming out from jjakji. An engineering bay has been built here so we can actually move out safely, throw a couple of turrets in the mineral line so we can move out without having damage being done by this Banshee.
Yeah, I really like the Widow Mine from TaeJa. Just moving it up front a little bit. Vikings will move faster than most of your army. Even picking off just that one Viking with the mine is a game-changing pickup. The other thing to consider is the defender's advantage. If jjakji pushes across the map, TaeJa's still going to have tanks out. He already has his first one up. So the longer that jjakji waits to make his move, and I think it's not actually going to be a frontal assault. It's looking like a pretty big drop. This is kind of what was really popular a few months ago, especially in maps like Catalina, the Raven double medevac drop with 2 tanks and 8 Marines.
Well, let's see where TaeJa's army is going to be. The command center's done. It's very clear to us right now that TaeJa, if he defends this big assault that jjakji's planning to make, the game's going to end. It's going to be way too heavily in favor of TaeJa, and he's going to pick up map number 1. Yeah, here comes the movement out. Medevac's lifted. Raven ready to go. 3 auto turrets loaded as well.
Yeah, the important thing to note here is that if he has to pull SCVs, jjakji can still kind of equalize things, but this Widow Mine is going to spot just barely a Viking moving out. The Raven as well won't detonate on anything.
Banshee sees the medevac, so he knows exactly the plan. He knows it's not going to be a frontal attack, and the drop is planned.
And look at TaeJa's army position. He's pretty ready to receive this. He's moving his army, though, towards the front. Because there's actually a Marine push hitting the front as well. He's really trying to stretch TaeJa out in multiple directions as TaeJa counterattacks with his Banshees.
Well, the Vikings and Raven looking for those medevacs here as it looks like the plan is potentially changed here for jjakji. He's going to boost forward. The Banshee on the other side of the map dealing a bit of pressure, and here comes jjakji. Marines in position, tank in position as well.
Yeah, I really like the choice to go right up front. Just push this natural away. Do what you can. Don't go too far in if you don't have what you need to break him down. At the same time, TaeJa's Banshee parked in a very nice position to pick off a few SCVs. Actually, quite a few so far in jjakji's base. And jjakji, he's delayed this expansion. They're both just trading away their workers.
TaeJa loses his Raven there.
Point defense zone gives a significant advantage. Even though the Viking has less health, he can still win in a straight-up fight, and now he has a defensive Viking to help pick off that one. Actually, okay, so jjakji actually had his command center and his natural delay. These Banshees are really doing work for TaeJa.
15, 16 kills here by TaeJa, racking up the SCVs despite that turret being there. And jjakji pushes forward into the 2 tanks. Is he going to be able to break them? He's going to try to bring these 2 tanks down. One of them gets targeted, and he's going to go for the second one. The repair is not going to work.
jjakji
tanks go down.
Picking off these siege tanks is such a nice move for him. He's going to try to just go straight into the main base, braving his way through the Vikings, loses one of his medevacs, but even with that auto turret for support, he's got a nice bit of damage he can put out. The SCVs get pulled onto these tanks, but he has the low ground tank, he has his Marines here, and the tanks coming out, like just that is not going to be enough.
And jjakji here is going to bring down that last tank with 4 Marines left over, and there's simply no units here for TaeJa. There's a tank at the back, a Banshee comes back from the aggression to help defend. Maybe this is going to be the way that TaeJa holds on, but remember, he still has that double command center, he still has mules to use. This medevac here going to try and get to that SCV line. TaeJa holds on for now, but more units coming across.
jjakji's not even put an SCV, just now putting it back on the command center, so he will have the latest expansion ever, but I don't really think that's what he's focusing on for this game, Apollo. This next push that's coming in, the Banshee bought him some time, but he just doesn't have a lot of units to deal with this, and even this Widow Mine, as we can see, keeps passing by it. It's not caused him any trouble this game.
All right, well, looks like jjakji's going to bring that medevac around to his main force here and try again. One more decisive and clinical strike from jjakji could end this game in his favor. As he comes around this left-hand side, Banshee gets up a Marine there. Every little bit helps here. Tank, strip, drop, but not too much damage. The medevac survives with like 1 or 2 hit points there. Great moves by jjakji.
Yeah, he's playing with fire, moving this medevac forward at all. The tanks, it's nice for TaeJa to at least somewhat not be dead just yet, as he's continuing to still get some good trades. He picks off that last tank, does get the Banshee, but jjakji, oh man.
Great micro here by jjakji, using that medevac with almost no hit points to true effect, picking up units left and right, putting the pressure onto TaeJa. And he's going to have to move that command center. He's got a tank in a very good position there. No Banshee for jjakji to actually assault into it. And TaeJa continues to hold in this very...
Yeah, killing off these Vikings, getting that air control means he'll have guaranteed vision. There's not really any effective way to pick off these siege tanks outside the production line of TaeJa. Now he's going to stem a few Marines forward, tries to snipe the tank. No dice, still alive, and he'll counter drop on top.
No, the medevac goes down with all the Marines in it. That was a disaster there for jjakji. And there's a lot of SCVs here that TaeJa can use to help clean this up. The Viking lands, and TaeJa cleans jjakji out from inside his main base just about, where these Vikings should get picked off nice and easily. Great defense, and most importantly, fantastic composure here by Liquid TaeJa.
Yeah, TaeJa ends this battle with a worker lead, his command center, floating around, a little bit of an awkward float. He went on a journey, as it were, but jjakji has not yet actually moved his command center over, and he took a substantial amount of damage from those Banshees. I really think he was anticipating that he could actually kill him, and even this, he's gonna buy himself a little bit more time.
Great delaying tactic there from TaeJa. He's gonna move his command center to the gold base here, and he's gonna put the knock it up a few notches and start to put the pressure back onto jjakji here as TaeJa takes a supply lead in this game. He was very close to dying, but he stays alive. Picks up an SCV kill there. 43 supply for Liquid TaeJa, just shortly ahead of jjakji here with 39.
TaeJa's always been one of the most difficult players to kill with early aggressive plays, and TVT has been a matchup where some have found success with that type of play. But now, with the upgrade advantage that he had, having his stim and combat shield complete after that defense, jjakji's the one that's now going to end up being contained. If you try to move down your ramp with Marines and tanks, you just be bum rushed.
This is terrible news here for jjakji. He cannot be stuck on one base. He has to break out. For every second that goes by, more and more money is going to start to fund TaeJa's further production and bigger army size here. This is really bad for jjakji. He needs to break out ASAP here. I'm not too sure if he knows that TaeJa's mining, but he knows that second command center was there, so has to put 2 and 2 together.
TaeJa's mining almost triple the resources with these mules that he has, and you know, this is just going to allow him to power out so many more forces than jjakji that, or given, you know, any just a little bit longer time in this game, he's going to be able to win it because he knows, hey, jjakji, you're stuck on one base. There's nothing you can really do.
And now Medivacs are going to grace the field here for TaeJa. So while he has this contain, or at least some units around the center of the map, and of course that's where the focus of jjakji is going to be, because that's where he has to expand to. But with Medivacs, he can come around the back and side, can drop into the mineral line, can do major damage. Widowmine still causing a headache here for the Mayan Sanity player. But in a couple of seconds' time, TaeJa with these Medivacs, man, he's going to drive jjakji insane.
Yeah, oh, the scan runs out with 3 hit points on the Widowmine. That's frustrating to say the least.
Absolutely here. Things are starting to go downhill for jjakji. He was so very, very close, and even this Medivac looks like it's going to get picked off here. Another lead for TaeJa, and an 80 supply to 50 difference between the both of them. And I just cannot stress how very close it was for jjakji to win this game with that assault. But TaeJa, by the skin of his teeth, held on, and now is in a game-winning position. All he's got to do, Nathan, is slam dunk the ball home.
That's right. He pretty much had TaeJa in his coffin, but TaeJa climbed out from the dead, and this has been a fantastic recovery after that defense. At this point, jjakji, he's in full turtle mode. He's desperate to hold on to this natural, but now the Medivacs, as you mentioned, come into play. One defensive siege tank. He could even try to just drop on top of this or just charge it.
Yeah, these Marines jogging towards the other ones here as they do not have stim. He picks up the tank, and actually a pretty good defense here from jjakji.
But these Marines with the upgrades, man, they wreck face, and most of the defending forces of jjakji get cleaned up. TaeJa, you know, with that low health Medivac, he doesn't want to try jumping on that siege tank just yet, but he is going to pressure the front, and they're double drop on top of the tanks of jjakji. The natural expansion being taken out, and TaeJa takes game number 1.
Very solid there from TaeJa, not dying and then landing the counter-strike beautifully as he sets himself up wonderfully in this best of 5 series with the first map victory, and the smiles are already here, Nathanius. A shake of the hand, and the grins mean one thing, that he's feeling comfortable in that booth.
Yeah, that's got to be one of those games that really makes you feel good. When you're playing a TVT, you open up with a build that's relatively standard. You're going for a Cloak Banshee, you want to expand after, and your opponent does this super aggressive attack after defending that Banshee, and you're pretty much out of time. You've got no workers, you have no army, and you somehow find a way to barely hold on with the Banshee in his base. He's won the mental game already, I think.